Red, green, blue, ooh, ooh. Red, green, blue, ooh, ooh. Red, green, blue, ooh, 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 ooh.
Good morning, everyone. Allow me to explain what the RGB single LED common anode module is. It's great for your projects with the Raspberry Pi 4 and more. Here's a simple explanation. The LED has three colors: red, green, blue. It has a common positive pin, anode. The common pin connects to 3.3 volts in the case of the Raspberry Pi. But I suppose it could also be used with 5-volt microcontrollers as well. You might want to look into that and make sure. Each color has a separate pin. To turn a color on, you connect its pin to ground. To turn it off, leave the pin unconnected or connected to high. By mixing colors, you can make new colors. I won't show that in this video. And now, I would like to explain what the circuit I created is doing. This code makes a single RGB LED change color when you press buttons. 3 buttons are set up as inputs. The Raspberry Pi is set up with 3 outputs. Each button has a function that turns on the corresponding LED color. The program waits in a loop doing nothing, but whenever a button is pressed, the LED changes immediately. When you stop running the program, it cleans up the GPIO pins. But never mind that. In short, what this circuit does is when you press buttons, the LED colors change according to which button you pressed. Please examine the code for further understanding. If I may, I'll break down the code line by line. Import rpi.gpio as GPIO. Import time. What these libraries do is they let you control the Raspberry Pi pins, and time allows you to pause the program. And they have separate functions within the library that allow that to happen. And then there's the lines of code gpio.setMode, gpio.board. So I am making use of the physical pin numbers of the Raspberry Pi 4. And then there's this warning about pins already being in use. Okay, next there's 3 similar looking lines of code: pin red LED, pin green LED, and then the blue one. 11, 13, and 15. This defines which physical pins control each LED color. And then there's a next block of code which is the GPIO.setup, and it sets them all up as output pins, and it sets them as normally high. And there's a reason for that. It's because the RGB LED is common anode. So you might want to stop and think that one through, but you basically send outputs that are low because the RGB module is already receiving a VCC high. Or rather, the RGB module is getting 3.3 volts VCC, the way I have physically hooked it up. Okay, next I'll be talking about the input pins, and you can see they are being configured here as pins 29, 31, and 33, and they correspond with the colors red, green, and blue. So now, if you can imagine, the physical circuit has 3 output pins which correspond to 3 input pins. Anyway, the input pins are set up with pull-down resistors, and if you look at the schematic diagram I've drawn, not really schematic but just board diagram I've drawn, you can see that the input buttons are all getting 3.3 volts VCC. So when you push the button, the input pin will receive a high signal. So that's why in the code here they have pull downs. Okay, and then here is def set color, GPIO.output, pin red LED, GPI low if red, else GPIO.high, and then it has a similar line of code for the other colors. This is a function to change the LED color. GPIO.low turns on a color, common anode. GPIO.high turns off a color. Default is all off. Okay, now there's 3 more lines of code. Def red pressed, def green pressed. The function's triggered when a button is pressed. Each function calls set color with the corresponding color. And now you have event detection in this block of code. It detects button presses. GPIO.rising means it triggers when the button goes low to high. Callback calls the function for that button. Bounce time equals 200. Prevents multiple triggers from button bouncing. And now you have the try. This prints a message with the print instruction. Press buttons to change LED color. Control C to exit. That will print on the screen when you're running your code in the terminal. While true, with a short delay. This is an infinite loop. It does nothing except wait, because button events are handled by callbacks. And then you have the accept line for keyboard interrupt. This stops the program cleanly when you press Control and C. And finally there is a button cleanup. Button summary. Buttons are inputs. RGB LED is an output, and there's 3 pins, 3 output pins from the Raspberry Pi that goes to that RGB LED module, and those send out low signals when we want that particular color on the RGB LED module. So pressing a button triggers a callback that turns on the corresponding LED color. The program waits in a loop, doing nothing else until you exit.
Red, green, blue. Red, green, blue. Red, green, blue. Ooh, ooh,